Okay, so I guess we're back. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, Prof.
Great, great. Okay, so you can resume your presentation, huh? Where you left off.
Yeah, my classmate is going to do that.
Shall I continue, Prof?
Yes.
Okay. So, well,
Yeah.
okay. So here we have equitability and good score.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we have the progress and not progress, pass and not pass, certify and not certify for assessments that will be used to classify students into groups. Equitability is a concern primarily in summative decisions, when the decisions will be used to classify test takers into different groups. Carefully set the cut scores for classifying test takers, inform all stakeholders about the cut scores and how these were set, make sure that the same cut score are used for classifying all test takers, okay? So what is a good score? Is the grade, mark, or score on the assessment that is used as a basis for classifying students into different groups, such as pass and not pass, okay? So here we also have values and sensitivity. So here we have the high stakes summative decisions and low stakes formative decisions. What are the high stakes summative decisions? They are when these this occurs when the teacher meets with stakeholders to discuss the relevant values that need to be considered in decisions to be made. And what are low stakes formative decisions? It it occurs when the teacher considers how consistent the decisions to be made are with his own values and beliefs about effective instructional practice. Now here we have equitability. So um, talking about the high stakes summative decisions, so the teacher documents procedures for setting standards and cut scores, monitoring how these are implemented in class, and informing students and stakeholders about this. And here in low stakes formative decisions, we have equitability is not in low stakes formative decisions because these are not made for the purpose of classifying students into groups. So here we have the claim 3.
Okay, so
Yes.
good afternoon. No.
Yes.
My
Gabby, no? Gabby.
Yes, Gabriela White.
Gabriela, no? Gabriela White.
Yes. So I'm going to talk about the claim 3, that is intended interpretations. So here we have the interpretations about 3 aspects of the students, that is in the speaking ability. That is accurate grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation are relevant to the formative and summative decisions to be made. The interpretations are sufficient for the low-stake formative decisions to be made, but not sufficient for the high-stake summative decisions. Uh, these summative decisions will be made on the basis of this assessment and on other classroom assessment that will be given during the course of instruction. As we know, the interpretations are really meaningful and with respect to the content of the course and of the current lesson. Okay, so we're going to have a little activity to have a review of what we have looking during the classes. So please, let's start with the qualities of interpretation. That is, for example, number one is the degree to which the intended interpretations provide information the test user needs to make the decisions. Let's see, Marita, no sé si can you help me with this one? What is the correct answer?
Yes, baby. It could be relevant.
Santi, can you please click on the, yes, okay. So in the second one, we have, is the degree to which the assessment-based interpretations apply or extend to our students' TLU domains? Please, Raquel? Mhm. Oh, let's see, Eric?
Can you listen me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Uh-huh. Okay, let's see. Well, Hugo, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. You said the first question, right?
The second one, please.
The second one. It says, is the degree to which the assessment-based integration apply or extend to our students' TLU domains? For me, it's relevance.
Okay, Santi.
No, okay.
Okay, the answer is generalizability. Thank you. The third is the degree to which the intended interpretations provide stakeholders with information about the ability to be assessed and convey this information in terms that they can understand and relate to. Please, Jocelyn.
Yes, Gabby. Meaningfulness.
Thank you. And the fourth is the degree to which the intended interpretations provide enough information for the test user to make the decisions. Please, let's see. Paula?
Yes.
Please help me with number 4.
Impartiality.
Okay, that is the answer. Let's see, sufficiency. Please, thank you. And the last one is the degree to which the format and content of the assessment tasks and all aspects of the administration of the assessment are free from bias that might favor or disfavor some students. Please, Milena.
Yes. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see. Impartiality.
Impartiality.
Yeah, correct. Thank you.
Very.
So we have been checking this because we are going to see how we apply this information. The next. Okay. So there's some possible backing for intended interpretations in claim 3 and the relevance and the sufficiency, teacher meets with ESL and EFL teachers in the current and next grade during the development of the assessment. This is to discuss the interpretations of the speaking ability that will be relevant for making the decisions about which students will pass the course. The mindfulness teacher provides documentation of relevant instructional material. For example, we have the syllabus, the textbooks, also the teaching notes and the instructional activities. In generalizability, we have the teacher provides an analysis of the administrative procedures and the teacher collects feedback from students. And impartiality, teacher carefully reviews the assessment task and the teachers ask fellow teachers to review the assessment task.
Okay, Prof. My partner, Luis Gavilanes, has a problem with his internet connection. So
Yeah.
so he couldn't come, he couldn't join us, but I'm going to explain his part. So it says the claim number
Okay.
4.
Claim
Okay,
4,
so,
assessment records. Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about the assessment records. So it says, let me check this. Okay. Okay, so it says, the scores from the speaking assessment are consistent across different days on time of administration and across different administrations to different pairs and class of students. Students' scores are consistent across the pictures of different animals and different pairs of students. Students' performance are scored consistently by the teacher according to a consistent application of a rating scale. The possible sources of inconsistency of this assessment are in the following table. So this is an example of how to assess records. Okay.
Yeah.
So the possible sources of inconsistency in scores. So possible inconsistencies in administration of the assessment, different times or days of administration, different administrations to different pairs of students, different administrations to different classes of students. The second one, it says inconsistency across different assessment tasks. For example, here we have the different animals in pictures, different amounts of details in the pictures, differences between the students who make up the pair. The third one says inconsistency in how students' performance are scored. So different application of the rating scale from one student to the next, or different application of the rating scale from one pair to the next. So for example, as you can see here, we have an exercise which the teacher is going to apply to the students, but here we have the possible sources of inconsistency in scores. So as I was saying before, some of the most common possible sources of inconsistency in scores are the different administration to different pair of students, or for example, if we are going to assess in a different way to a group of students from another, and
From another.
and then how we apply the rating scale from one student to the next. So it's important to keep these aspects in mind, because we have to apply a neutrality with our students, because we cannot take, or we cannot apply this kind of assessment or exercise either in speaking or writing or reading in one way for one group and in another way for the rest of the class. So here we have some possible backing for intended assessment records in claim number 4. So here we have a little chart which says possible sources of inconsistency. So inconsistencies in the administration of the assessment. As I was saying before, here we have the different times or days of administration, different administrations to different pairs of students, and different administrations to different classes of students. Okay, so the possible backend to assure consistency is the documentation, administrative procedures to be followed, the teacher's notes from administering the assessment at different times during the class period on different days with different pairs of students and with different classes of students. And for the second possible source of inconsistency, the backing is the documentation, the task specifications for the pictures to be used in the assessment. In other words, the teacher has to be should be clear on the task. Next, it says the teacher's notes on any differences that were observed in how different pictures may have affected students' performance. Teacher notes in how the attributes of students who were paired may have affected their performance. So, as I was saying before, this is related with equitability for students, okay? And here we have the assessment task development. So the step one is a TLU task selected for development of assessment task. Short descriptive label for the TLU task. Here we have the task engages. So here we have describing animals orally in groups in the language classroom. And here we have using accurate grammar of vocabulary and pronunciation in speaking. The step number two, the description of the TLU. The first one says activities and procedures to be followed. So we have here, the teacher explains the speaking activity. The students are arranged in groups of 3 to 4. The teacher gives each group a picture of an animal. Students work in a description of their animal. The teacher helps groups. Each student has to present a part of the description in a period of time. The rest of the class has to make questions to guess the animal. And finally, the teacher provides feedback. Okay?
Huh?
So here we have the task characteristics of TLU tasks. So as you can see here, give me a minute. I don't know if you can see this way better or here we
No, that one is okay.
Okay.
No, this is okay.
Okay, so here we have, as you can see, the TLU task. It says speaking, describing animals in groups. So this is activity, okay? Here we are going to check the setting, the input, and the expected response. So here we have the areas of language ability that TLU task engages. So it says using accurate grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation in speaking, okay? So the task characteristics, the setting, it says the physical circumstances, teacher in front of the classroom, students in groups of 3 or 4 people, the participants, the teacher and students, young learners at the beginning level, time of the task during the class period, the 2 class periods required. Here in the input, we have the form, which is oral, the teacher description of the task, questions and comments, the students description of animals and questions, and visual, we have a picture of an animal for each group. The language is obviously in English. The teacher shared utterances describing and explaining questions, simple grammar and vocabulary. Other students fairly short utterances describing their pictures, questions and answers, simple grammar and vocabulary. The length is going to be oral. It says short utterances, visual, short the single picture. The topic content is the physical characteristics of animals, and the expected response is the form we have here, oral, which says the student's description of the animals, the student's questions, the student's responses to the teachers, and other students' questions. In visual, we have words, phrases, and sentences that students write on paper to support their speaking. The language, English, a short descriptive utterances, adjectives, and questions. The length, about half a minute per student, and the topic content is going to be physical characteristics of animals. So here, let me check. Okay, so please. Okay, so please give me a minute, Prof.
Uh-huh. There you go.
Okay, Prof. So here my partner is going to talk the step number 3, the modified task assessment test task template.
Great, thank you.
Who's Santi?
So who's doing this part?
You, Armando.
I don't have myself. Okay, step number 3, we have the modified task and the assessment task template. Okay, so here in step 3, we have the description of the modified task. For example, here we have speaking individually, describing an animal from a picture in pairs. Another is areas of language ability to be assessed. Here we have using accurate grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation speaking. As we can know, or as we can notice, in this part, the professor is focused on the develop or the good develop in the speaking skill. And as we can saw before, we have to follow some steps. For example, put the students in groups. After the professor provides a picture, each group will have to describe an animal. So this is more focused on in speaking skills. Okay, so here that's why we have here in step 3, we are taking in consideration the speaking individually and describing an animal from a picture and in pairs. Okay, here we have the activities and procedures to be followed. For example, here we have one day before the assessment, the teacher tells the students they will have an assessment related with speaking to be prepared, okay? The purpose of the assessment are, for example, here we have to give each student a grade or mark, and to provide feedback to individual students about their speaking ability. Students will speak with one of their peers, but the test will be given individually to each student. One student in the pair will be given half a minute to prepare their description. He or she is required to speak for a minute and their partner is required to guess the animal according to their partner's description. The second student will follow the same procedure and the teacher will score the student using a rating scale or the recording form, as we can know as a rubric.
The rubric.
Administrative procedures, okay? How is going to procedure the professor or the task? The assessment takes place during a class period. The assessment is given as a paired speaking activity between two students. The teacher explains the assessment task, the teacher provides the picture and allows to take half a minute to think how to describe it. The student describes the animal to his or her partner. After that, the second student will do the same as the first one and will have to do the same as the first one. Sorry. And while students speak, the teacher scores his or her performance in a rubric, as I said before. And at the end, students return to the class and the next group will be called, because as we can notice here, to develop in a better way this task, we need to just to have the pair or the two students in the class to can listen clear what they are speaking or how they performance they speaking skill. Please next.
Yeah, now it's
okay,
guys, one moment, please. Profe,
Yes.
I don't know if it is possible to leave for me to leave this meeting because I have another meeting and this is from work.
Yeah.
So it is
Okay, great.
important. So
No
I don't know
problem.
if it is possible. Yes, and my group is
Yes, no problem.
yes, it's supposed to expose the next topic after this group, but I can make it. So
You can't make it.
yes,
Yeah.
but I don't know if
Okay.
it is possible for me to expose my part, but for the next class.
Well, yeah, you'll be the first one to do your part. Tell your friends to leave that part only for you to do it on Monday. Okay.
Okay, Prof. Thank you. Thank you a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Milena.
Okay, so this is the last part and is about the task characteristics of the modified task and assessment task template. As we have been reviewing, the assessment task in this example is speaking individually and describing an animal from a picture in pairs. The areas of the language ability to be assessed is using accurate grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation and in speaking. And I think it is important to point out what is the setting, the input and expert response. The setting, as we know, is the consists of the circumstances under which the assessment takes places. We have here the physical circumstances, the participants, the equipment, materials, that in this case is the picture of animals or pen or pencil, a table and 3 chairs for the students and for the teacher, the time of the task, and the input, we have the material, any material that contain in the task itself, which students are expected to process and respond. Here we have the form, the language that of course is English, the teacher, the length, the topical content, and the expected response is the language or non-language performance that we want to elicit from the students. That is, here we have the form, the language, the length, and the topical content. And here we have the recording method for assessment tasks. That is the types of assessment record, the aspects of ability, and the scoring method that we are going to see in the next slides, please. Yeah, this is the step model assessment task. As we can see in this step, the teacher has a picture of an animal and the student needs to describe to his partner. The student has half a minute to look at it and think about how he will describe it. And then the student describe the animal to his partner and in 1 minute. And the teacher repeats this with the second student. And what is please the next slide. The scoring method. Well, the scoring method that we use here is the aspect of speaking to be rated are given in the first column. And we use a rubric. So this is the rating scale that is specified that each aspect of speaking of each student performance. So the score is going to be from 1 to 3. And there is also a feedback for each aspect of speaking. That's all, and thank you so much for your attention.
That's it, Prof. Thank you very much.
Guys, the next group, there is less than 10 minutes. I don't know if you want me to end this meeting now so you can have more time in the next one.
Yes, it's better to stop the session.
Okay. Okay. So I will share the link again soon. Okay.